So a couple trees here to come out. This one here is obviously dead. You can actually see, this is actually important, you can actually see cracks in this tree. And those cracks can lead to very exciting things when you cut it down. So we'll pay attention to how we fall that one down. Another thing, this little site prep, we'll get rid of this stuff before we start cutting. We got a small tree here in front. We'll get rid of that. And then we got these two larger trees, and it looks good all the way to the top, but that top is dead. And I know that's a balsam fir. We can look at the age later. It's probably 25 years. It's at end of life. It's mature. We can maybe get some lumber out of it, but it's got to go because it's going to come down on its own here in a little bit. We may as well control it. We can have it regrow with something else. There's some maples and some oaks coming in, so let's just get rid of it. Okay, so we've taken that little tree out. We freed up these two larger trees that have to come out. Behind it is a healthier, larger tree as well. And so we're gonna free that up to get a bit more light. It's pretty mature too. It doesn't need to come out this year. When you look at the floor underneath them, now I've got the brush out, a little safer escape route. And I come in and take out this one as well. That gives me another place to back out if something goes wrong. I can go behind that large tree, and I got a shield with that large tree. But looking at the floor, there's nothing growing on the floor. And so one of the things in Atlantic Canada, early transition forests where you've got some softwoods like balsams, a lot of balsams in this area, they got so much canopy, nothing grows underneath them. And so when you come in and you're freeing up that canopy, freeing up that area, getting light to the floor, you'll help that transition. So Nova Scotia government has a woodlot owners course. I think it's either them or Nova Scotia Woodlot Owners Association has the course. It's a good course if you're going to get into it, even if you're outside Nova Scotia. But it'll talk about things like what your proper spacing should be, what your species should be, and there's a lot of forestry management that's necessary in these types of woodlots. Otherwise, nature takes care of it, and that's not always what you want. So I'm going to get rid of that one, and then we'll start talking about the cut. So I got a choice, which tree to take out first. So I look this way as a power line. I want to stay as far as I can to the right. I've limbed up the bottom branches. I like to do that because it gives me more room to work around. Less likely to get hung up in a branch if you need to get around a tree in a hurry. And I look at these branches, and that tells me that back tree probably should go first. Because if I try and put this right tree down first, it could roll off of those. And I don't really want to experience that. So this tree is what? We'll call it 10-inch diameter for stories. We got to make a hinge cut. So we're going to make a hinge, and we're going to make our hinge so that it's 90 degrees to where we want it to go. So we're going to aim the tree. And what I'm going to do is I want it to land right along that edge. I don't want it to hit the edge because that'll damage some young growth there. I don't need it to go out to the left. So I'm going to aim it that way. So when you cut your front cut, your opening, your bird's mouth, your wedge, whatever you want to call it, what you got to think about is how wide is that? There's all kinds of reasons to make a shallow mouth or a deep mouth. This is an older tree, so I'm probably going to go with a shallower mouth because I don't trust the middle. There could easily be ants in this because it's a balsam fir. So I'm going to do a shallow mouth. And I want the tree that's standing straight up and down to be horizontal, which is a 90 degrees. I need 90 degrees of opening so that tree can fall through the 90 degrees without ripping apart the hinge. Because as soon as the hinge gets broken, the tree goes where it wants. So the closer it is to the ground when that hinge gets pulled apart, the better. And I also don't want that butt end jumping up in the air and smacking me in the face, right? And so that's another way to avoid that. If your mouth is too small, it'll pinch and kick itself up. Or if it's got something up here to land on, it'll pinch and kick itself up. So I don't want that. So just a really shallow mouth. A little twist on it. Probably gonna nick that twist out actually. because I want it to come further to the right. So let's adjust that. We'll take out that, square it up a little bit better so it comes right along that edge. You can stand behind the tree with your saw, put your bar on it, and see where it's going to go. It's going to go right through there. You can see the mouth is right next to me. All right, here's the mouth. Put the camera in the mouth. There's the camera in the mouth. That's where it's going to go. Okay. Wedges. I have plastic wedges. I've got pry bars. But for this tree, I'm just using a splitting axe. Plastic wedges are better. If you hit one with a bar, it doesn't damage your chain. The reason I like splitting wedges, it's got a steep shoulder. It's metal, I can pound the crap out of it and cause no harm to it. It was what was in the tractor, so that's what we're using. All right, so here it is, landed right along that edge like I wanted, but still hooked up to the tree. Cut that off in a minute. So now the easy thing to do is come through limit while you still have it on the butt, because now it's not on the ground. So I'll just come along. Now you'll see that these branches are under tension. So when you make those cuts, you got to think about where that tension is and where you put your saw so you don't pinch it. Because if you pinch it, again, if you're working with one saw, you get that saw pinched, how do you get it out? And it's just dangerous. So there's the first one. Normally I just limit up, but what I want to do is I want to put this one next to it to show it wasn't an accident. You know, you make that cut, you aim the tree, you use your whatever you're using for a wedge, and bring the tree over with a wedge. Don't let the wind take it, don't let gravity take it. You put it where you want with a wedge. Here, creaking. Wants to go. There it goes. Pull back. All right, so let's look at this hinge. First thing you'll see is lots of ends. And with balsam fir, especially that dead top was a giveaway. You knew the center of this tree was going to be weak. So when you're cutting these types of trees, you have to have your wedge, you know, your mouth cut a little shallow. And you see the hinge, the effective hinge, was this right-hand side and this left-hand side. The middle, look at this, it actually pulled out. Yeah, that's not an effective hinge at all. So you have to remember that with your cut. Because if you cut all the way through, you know, who knows what's going to happen here. Again, that's the crack tree. reason for this whole mission. There's the one I'm gonna leave for today. It's a pretty nice tree. It's got to come down the next year. And then the part that doesn't really take any explanation, all that brush has got to go somewhere. I just put in the woods. You get one good winter, it'll pack it down pretty hard. The rabbits will use it as habitat. In the second winter, it's on the ground pretty good and rotting in. So I'm not too worried about that. I don't need to chip it. You can, it looks better, I get it. But right now, let's just clean this mess up. Okay, through the miracles of editing, the trees are cleaned up. Now I'm gonna take them out. I'll leave that one there. This is the next one. We call that swamp juniper. It's probably more correctly called larch, but around here we call it swamp juniper. So let's pick them up. I'm gonna spin these two around. I'm gonna use them as little pallets, and we'll get them on the forks. I'd rather move it on the forks than drag it around, because you don't want to get all that dirt on your firewood or on your lumber, because it just dulls blades. It's a waste of your effort. So if you can help it, pick it up. If you're using a four-wheeler, I get you, use a skidding cone, and actually leave some limbs on so it rides on the limbs as opposed to log. I'm gonna say something ridiculously obvious. Put your chainsaw out of the way. Don't drop a tree on it. Don't drive over it with your tractor. Put your stuff in a safe place before you do the next step. Next step for me, let's get these 4 logs out. We'll put them on top of here so I can get them all separately. And we'll pick those up and we got a load. Another silly thing to mention, have at least one of these inside your tractor. If you're working in the woods, especially in the summer, you have one around, you might stop a fire. You won't if you don't have it. It's gonna be a little harder to film, but here we are. Let's get underneath these logs. Pick those ones up. Grab these 2. We're gonna put those on top of the skids we just had. So those are out. You can see, nice and clean. You'll see regrowth there pretty quick. I use those logs as skids. I can pick those up pretty quick. I've got that one on the forks waiting. Let's drop this one. So this one's down. There's your hinge. See how it still has some connection? It went all the way down. It's still resting on the butt. You can still see here's part of the hinge connected. That's what you want to see. That shows that that was in control the whole time it fell. And here it is. It landed exactly where the other two had gone. Now I don't have to walk very far. It's not hung up in another tree. That'll be quick. What we'll do now, we'll cut the butt off of this. See how far up the ants go. Same with that piece over there. We'll take it off and see. So about 20 inches on that one. We'll just roll that in the woods. That'll rock down. This one we just cut off a bit more. So it's good enough for firewood. It's not good enough for lumber. But get rid of that. There's no point in letting the ants go any further. Throw that in the woods. They'll enjoy it. Where's the gear? There we go. A little awkward filming with one hand and trying to drive with the other. There we are. Get underneath this load. Let's lift it up. Come on now, get on. Very good. I see what's happened. There he goes. I just have to break it off of the stump. Let's put it down a little bit. There we go. That'll work. Let's grab this one. Not really square on the forks, but we can correct that soon. Try and get this one roughly the same though. Slide the forks under it. Hook a little bit. There we go. See? There's the pair. Very happy. Clicking is the forward and reverse shuttle. If I did this right, we can get the forks right in through here. Yeah, don't be rude. Yeah, it should fit. There we go. Let's slide right in here. There you go. There we go. So low. So now we'll take that back. So when I put those skids there, I intentionally put them on a little bit of a slope. I'm hoping anyone with forks will realize you can slide them right underneath there. And if you have forks, you tend to get lazy and try to use them for everything. So let's see if I can, with one hand, yeah, I'll probably have to crack this in. Let's get the fork like that. See if I can just clearly get underneath that one. Yeah. And there we go. That worked good enough. So the offending tree is gone. Those two balsam firs are out. Brush is cleaned up, stacked in the woods. We'll get those ones another day. This one here is a good warning to folks. It's only a baby. You see it snapped off right there? Its top is here. So watch out for those, because sometimes they'll drop the tops on top of you, and some folks call those widowmakers because they come down. You're wearing ear protection, you might not hear them. So don't, pay attention. These ones with dead tops can do exciting things. And as always, folks, keep her greasy.